on the People's Court is back with me, George Maringa, Linda Alela, and Victor Muyakane. And as we talk about our subject tonight, surviving cancer. Now, it has been a topic of discussion, and just to bring you up to date, or rather looking at this whole situation and this whole conversation, I'll actually throw it over to Linda and Victor so that you have the introduction before we go to the prelude of this conversation.
All right, and as we earlier said, while we were beginning the broadcast, the idea is us getting to a point where, you know, we talk about cancer every other time, and you know, most of the people will first of all have fear. Families will dread the fact that they will have to lose a lot of money, you know, trying to treat their loved ones. Medics will always get scared that probably we don't have enough to manage this situation in the country. Yes. You know, you'll all think about India and all this, but we want to demystify this and say that, you know, we have seen people who've tremendously come out of this space of cancer, this painful space of cancer, and they consider themselves, they call themselves cancer survivors. What is this that we're talking about when we're talking about surviving cancer? And we'll actually have the medics telling us that. Yes. Is there something like surviving cancer? What exactly does it mean? Are there, you know, myths that surround that? And what is this that we need to demystify?
Absolutely. Now, good people, most of you know about this disease. A lot of us have people, family members, friends, loved ones, even neighbors who have suffered from this disease. Some have been able to survive it, some have not. So it is safe to say that all of us have had, in one way or another, an encounter with this disease. But as my colleagues have said, and as most of you would agree, it's a disease that sends chills down everyone's spine whenever you hear of that diagnosis. It's almost a death sentence, is what they say. But today, we are here to tell you that it isn't. Matter of fact, we're not here to tell you that. The survivors who've gone to war, who've gone to battle day and night, the chemo sessions, the treatments, the despair, have gone to battle and have brought back a hard-fought victory. They're right here to tell you their stories. And speaking of hope, the Stanford Medicine, the Center for Integrative Medicine, actually have something called they call hope as a strategy. And to just pick a quote from it, it says, "Hope is one of the greatest allies supporting the quality of life." And hope is something that actually medical professionals are encouraging people who are fighting this war to be able to embrace and share so that others can gain strength. And that's why we're here today. It's all about hope. And ladies and gentlemen, allow me to begin to introduce the people we have here tonight to shed some more light on this conversation. Now, if I mention your name, would you be so kind as to just give a light wave to our audiences so that they can see you, all right? We have Mr. Philip Lundu, who's all the way in the back. Karibu. You serve as a nutritionist. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
Next, we have Madam Violet Mutambi. Yes, very good. Book ending the back row. Karibu sana, Madam Violet. You are a palliative caregiver, if I'm not wrong. Karibu sana. Next, we have Mr. Timothy Gitau. Karibu sana. Timothy, you're a warrior. You're a samurai. You went to war and you brought back some victory. Karibu sana. Timothy is one of our cancer survivors. Then we have Madam Lillian Gitau, somewhat related to our soldier, Timothy. They will explain how. Thank you so much, Lillian. Karibu sana. We also have Mr. Arthur Gishuru, right there. Karibu. You are a clinical psychologist, and you're here for a purpose very seriously connected to the subject matter. Karibu sana. Next, we have, of course, Dr. Catherine Nyongesa, the lady in pink today, pink and black. She is the chief executive and founder of Texas Cancer Center. Thank you so much for joining us once again. You're always willing to join us on conversations such as these. Karibu sana. Karibu sana. And of course, last but not least is Madam Christine Mkabana and Henry Derrick. Christine is a cancer survivor.
Yes, I am.
Brilliant. Soldier, samurai. Awesome, awesome. And of course, Henry Derrick as well, a cancer survivor. Karibuni sana. And good people at home, this is our panel. We are your servants. And with that out of the way, shall I declare the People's Court in session?
Absolutely.
Certainly. Please
Shall we
remind
begin?
us to speak to us.
Oh,
ask
yes.
any questions that you
Oh,
want
yes.
to ask.
At home, yeah, send in your questions.
Right.
The SMS line should be on your screen in the course of the conversation.
Yes.
The WhatsApp number should be on your screen as well in the course of the conversation. And if we are blessed with a bit of time, we might field a couple of calls.
Yeah.
But this is the moment for you to ask questions. But first, sit back and listen. Take
So
it away,
we
guys.
are celebrating World Environment Day tomorrow.
Yes.
That is the 5th of June, and it's celebrated every other time.
Yeah.
And the medics will tell you that, again, there's a connection of cancer and the environment. You have carried a very important story before.
Yes, yes.
In relation to this. Would you care to share the story even as you ask the medics this question?
Absolutely, and it's a story reminded Dr. Catherine Nyongesa. Back then, I interviewed her at the Kenyatta National Hospital about this Riaki village, a village that has been christened Cancer Village, where there are all manner of cases of cancer in this specific region in Igembe, that is in Meru County, County 012. And one of the research points that came out, especially from the KEMRI, is that Kenya Medical Research Institute, is that there was the aspect that a meteorite fell in the 40s, in the 60s, in that village, and therefore the water that comes in from, that they consume comes from, springs out from that specific area, and therefore that has caused the cases of cancer, the increased number of cancer cases in that region. And, upon further analysis of the story, sadly, all the victims and survivors or patients of cancer that we interviewed back then, they all passed away. But then they left huge task, especially to the country, to be able to understand why these cases of cancer are very prominent in Riaki village.
All right.
And it is something that, of course, is tuned into the environment. Dr. Catherine, of course, will tell you that there was also the issue of Mira and the, the pesticides that are used on that specific crop and the farming methods that, as a country, we look at. But of course, it is a situation that we can always look at and say, instead of going this way, let us go this way.
All right, this is how we begin the conversation.
Matter of fact, if I may just add to that conversation.
Yeah.
A few years ago, I know some of you might remember, and those of you at home, there was a story from a village in the coast called Owino Uhuru. It's a village, but most people like to call it a slum. Okay. And there was a case of a manufacturer which was making battery acid or battery components, and they were able to leach and pour out lead. Lead into the environment. And that caused infiltration into the water table, and so the people of that community were consuming that water.
Kids being born in
thousands. There were about 32 to 3,600 members of that village, and pretty much all of them were affected by lead poisoning, which I'm sure the experts here will tell us, but there's a connection between lead and one of the cancers, I believe mesothelioma or something like that. You are the expert, you will tell us.
Yes.
Yes.
It looks like they're almost ready to begin this.
So clearly, the point is, good people at home, there's a connection between what we do to our environment and cancer.
And you remember the chilling revelations? It was quite a trending topic in February from Cyrus Jirongo.
Yes.
You saw what happened in the northern eastern part of the country.
And because the show is theirs and the people back at home, I think we now come to you. Perhaps to begin the conversation, Dr. Nyongesa, you're on standby with a mic before we get to hear the stories here and the experiences. Pick it up from what the gentlemen say in relation to cancer and the environment, but of importance. Tell us, just what do you make of this when we're talking about cancer survival? Just what exactly is this, and what are some of the misconceptions that are related to it? Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. So a cancer survivor is a patient who has gone through cancer treatment. They may be in their early stages of their treatment, they've just been diagnosed, and they may be in the middle of treatment or have completed, and it's just the hope of surviving. So survive every day. As human beings, every day we live, we thank God for it. And you as a cancer survivor, you have to thank God for the day they give you every day. And you don't give up, you continue with the treatment. As you've mentioned, there are some causes of cancer that are known, but majority no one knows, and cancer can strike at any time without you going through all those things that we've mentioned. So it's multifactorial with known causes, and other times we don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, you want to take it up from there?
Yes, I really want to contribute to the story made by our friend here.
Yeah.
I operated once in Meru County, and I could tell that, yeah, those cases were there, and especially the colon cancer. I had not seen the research per se, but then again I can tell, yeah, we received so many cases back then, and that was in the year between 2018 all the way to 2022.
All right.
Yeah, and in fact that story was published in 2019. So that, that research spanned quite some few months.
I'd like to ask you a question, Daktari. When we look at some of these stories, from a psychological perspective, one of the things that one of the issues that are emerging is that some of our practices are actually causing us to get sick. Dr. Catherine said cancer can strike any time, and the causes of cancer are quite many, and still discovering new ones as we go. A research by good people at the Tenwek Mission Hospital, led by Dr. Michael Mwachiro, actually found that mursik, that we like to enjoy, is a key cause of esophageal cancer over there. And they were having a hard time convincing the community that, hey, we need to make this mursik differently. Apparently, it was the charcoal that they used to age the mursik or something that's causing that. Talk to us a little bit about, survival, first of all, comes from knowledge and understanding. Talk to us a little bit about the place of awareness of the causes of these things, and then the kind of resistance that sometimes shows up when people are being told about this.
Yeah, definitely there are so many kind of substances that Dr. is talking about when it comes to the things that contribute to cancer. And some of these things comes from our lifestyle. Take, for example, maybe alcohol or the substances that we consume. Or maybe we go to the beautiful story or the beautiful example of a mursik that I've actually enjoyed at some point. But then again, it is very, very hard for people to change a behavior. Quite very hard. And that's why you see even, you go to the hospital and the doctor is telling you that this thing is harmful to you. But at the same point, you are there and you have some resistance, because at the same time, you are enjoying this substance. You have really formed a certain kind of a pattern, and it is giving you some enjoyment. Our brain actually forms a certain kind of there is a reward system in our brain. For example, you take chocolates today. A month later, it's not you who will be demanding for that chocolate. It's actually the reward system that will be telling you, hey, you took something that you enjoyed, and therefore you need to take it again. So the awareness, yes, people, the hospitals are creating awareness, but at the same time, human beings are also resistant, given that we get hooked at some point with these particular kind of substances.
Right. And I suppose, lady and gentlemen, it would be good to get some of these stories.
Absolutely.
Some of these stories.
That's true, and I think we go straight to the survivors that we have on a set today. Briefly, your story is just briefly, as we get into the conversation, or as we dive into the conversation. You have the mic. You go first.
Okay, thank you. As said, my name is Timothy. I'm come from Thika. I'm a husband, a father, a brother, a son, and also a cancer survivor. I've started with my introduction because cancer does not define me. That is why I am other things apart from cancer survivor. I had colorectal cancer, first time diagnosed in 2014. Got treatment, was good for a couple of years. Then again, 2019, came back calling the second time. So I've gone through this journey, and I am a living testimony, I would say, that indeed cancer diagnosis is not a death sentence. You can live past it, as I am living. So after I got diagnosed, I went through treatment. My story is not particularly about environment. It might have been, I don't know. but I'm told it's hereditary for me, because my father also passed on because of colon cancer at the age of 36. Very young.
Okay.
Yeah, I also got diagnosed around almost the same age. But I thank God that I got to know early. And something you've talked about, awareness, I would lay testament to that, because when I started feeling bad, because I would feel a lot of bloating in my tummy, and then I would go to the hospital and I would be told it's gas. But because of I was aware of my history,
Yeah.
I kept on prompting. I'm not satisfied with that answer.
Yeah.
And that prompting led for more investigations, and luckily it was caught early for me.
Okay.
Many people don't get that chance. And I think the awareness counts for a lot to make people prompt, and also not get satisfied that you're told it's just gas.
Right.
Take some Actols and you'll be good. And some other traditional things we are told at home. But if you're aware about what it might be, it makes you prompt more.
Okay.
And it can lead to higher chances of survival.
Right.
Yeah.
Boldness there. You mentioned you're a father, you're a brother, you're a husband, you're a family man and all this.
Yes.
What was it like for all these other people around you? Because you could be marching into that room with the thought that, okay, well, dad had this, so let them probe further. If it is the case, then I'm set to deal with it. But what about all these other people around you?
Wasn't easy. And Lillian will tell you about it.
Oh, now
Wasn't
we're getting
easy.
to Lillian, all right.
He's my wife.
Oh,
and,
beautiful.
My primary caregiver.
Okay.
This man is a wise man. His first definition, he said, I'm a husband.
You know,
Yeah.
safeguard.
There's evidence.
Yeah.
Yes, I also need to be safe when I'm going
You
home.
know, very important. you might be tempted to hold her hand,
Yeah.
like the president and Rigiji. You know?
Exactly.
Clearly, the sense of humor survived also.
I know.
Yeah, it was quite difficult for them, because I remember the first diagnosis. When I was diagnosed, we had just gotten our second child.
Okay.
And she was breastfeeding and all that. And being told now your husband has cancer. And at that point, you really don't know what to expect. You've just been told you have cancer. And you need to go through treatment.
If I may, just talk to us about the moment you hear the doctor saying those words to you, considering, just like you said, you knew about your father's case.
Yes.
You knew what took him down.
Yes.
You knew what time, what age he was when that happened.
Yes.
And there you are, the doctor is saying to you, you have it.
You have it.
How did you feel?
It was devastating. It was devastating. And the first thing you think is, like a normal human being, that's it, I'm done. Right? Case closed, I'm done. I have this thing. And with the history, I'm done. But I thank God for the encouragement from Lillian and my family, and that we were able to forge forward and seek treatment. She would always encourage me, we are not giving up. Right? I've never gone for an appointment when she's not there. She's always there, sitting there, and wanting to know what's going to happen. And that goes to show the role the family really plays. Right. Because sometimes we might think we are strong enough, but at that point, I don't think there's anybody on earth who doesn't feel devastated.
You know, you're strong enough at some point because there's some little money in the pockets. Before you know it, month 1, month 2, month 3, the money is going down, the finances and all that. Yeah. And therefore, Lillian is supposed to go back to work. She's not able to go back to work. And therefore, a lot of things change. We want to listen to that story some more, but allow us to take a quick short break. A very quick one.
To allow
so we
people
also
to
get,
digest.
digest that. And also, and Lillian to prepare so that she can tell her experience, you know.
Absolutely.
All right, so after this short break, we come back with much more. Once again, the lines are open. You can always talk to us, share your experience, because today we are in the business of saying that, you know what, it's possible to walk through this journey and turn out a victor. After this break, note this.
Everyone can be an expert in his or her field. Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni Ridgeback ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
In a world where challenges are as common as opportunity.
Studio tonight as we look at this whole topic and how to go about it. And Christine Mkabana, you're also a gallant soldier who has fought through this journey. Talk to us about how it started for you and in a nutshell where you are right now.
Thank you very much for inviting me here.
You're very welcome.
My name is Christine Mkabana.
Yeah.
Married to a finance guy. I have 2 adult children. One is, she's called Roberta. She's a journalist.
Brilliant.
She's actually one of us.
She's one of you guys.
Roberta has been one of us for the longest of
time.
And I also have a son. We call him CJ. He's a chief chef. I'm in retirement age.
Okay.
Yes, and I'm working for an insurance firm. So my journey started, diagnosis. Let me start with the diagnosis.
Yes, please.
Diagnosis colon cancer. So my journey started May 2022. When I booked an appointment, of course I had my body was lethargic, and I would have constipation and hematochezia. So I went to the doctor. I booked an appointment, went and spoke to the doctor, and I told him, these are the signs that I'm seeing. And the doctor was like, Christine, this is something very small, So he said, if it's hemorrhoids, Friday, we're operating on you. So I said, fine. So I went for an operation, and this is where it took me like a whole year. That was May 2022. It took me a whole year before proper diagnosis was done. Wow. So after an year, hemorrhoidectomy was done. That May 2022. It took me 6 months to heal, and the signs were there. I could see blood, constipation. I had anemia on and off. So last year, I went and I booked another appointment with my primary doctor, and I told him, Doctor, this time, you need to do some tests before we do anything else. So he was like, Christine, no, this is something very small. I said, no. This time, I want us to start with a colonoscopy. Colonoscopy is a golden, of course, test that is done on cancer patients for colorectal. So I was booked, and it took 7 days before the report came. So when the report came, my doctor had left the country, of course, so I couldn't get the report. But at home still, there was that anxiety. I could see blood, I could not eat. Too much, constipation. So when the doctor came, then the results were given. They didn't. What happened is that they sent the results through WhatsApp.
Are you serious?
Okay.
Yeah, because the doctor is not there and it was delaying. I kept on pestering. I know it is not the right way, but I got them through WhatsApp. So I internalized. Actually, I read, and it is very terrifying. You can imagine, devastating. I was alone in the house, so I called my doctor now, the surgeon, and told him, can I see you in the afternoon? And he says, yeah, Christine, come. So I went and met him in the office and told him, Daktari, these are the results. And the doctor was like, I can't believe it. I said, even me, I cannot believe it. So I said, anyway, let's sit down and forge a way forward. What are we going to do? Because we had missed it for a whole year. Because the first time when we went for hemorrhoidectomy, I was supposed to have done colonoscopy, which we didn't do. We did sigmoidoscopy, which is just from the rectum, it is around 30 meters, so we could not go up. So nothing could be seen. So we missed it out for a whole year. So after that, okay, doctor did send me, of course, for the scans, CT scans, MRI, tumor markings. I came back with the results which confirmed that I had stage 4 cancer of the colon. So I didn't know what really to do, and I sat and thought about it. Then I called my husband and told him, he had traveled home, so I just told him, just come back. I didn't tell him exactly what it was, but in the house I could walk around, I could Google. It is the worst to do. So I read and read about it. So I kept on shivering and I was fear. You know, now what you think about it is death, the worst case. So he came and we spoke about it, and he told me, what we do tomorrow, let's go and see the doctor. So we went back to the doctor, and the doctor tried to explain, and just as my mother used to tell me, I'm a doubting Thomas. Okay, I'm in a medical profession. I like hoping and seeking for second opinion. So we went to the first doctor. He told me 1, 2, 3. I went to the third one. I went to the, fourth. Until then I said, what am I actually doing? So I called a friend of mine who's a doctor, and I just spoke to the doctor and told him, Doctor, these are my results. He said, Christine, let's meet here and we sit and discuss about it. So we went and sat and discussed about it. And he was not looking at me directly. So I meant this thing. So it meant this is a big problem. So I told him, just explain to me in a layman's language, not in a medical, just what exactly is this? Then he told me, Christine, I cannot tell you anything. What you do, remove this thing like yesterday. I said, fine. So I went back, and in the evening, I spoke to another doctor, and he told me, okay, we normally have a tumor board. So we'll put you there, we discuss about you, and we'll see what is going to happen to you and the plan of treatment. The following day, which was on a Thursday, very early in the morning, yes, I was there. We were having a virtual meeting with the tumor board people. They discussed about my case. But you see, physically, when we were seated with Dr. Binya, Dr. Binya was asking, Christine, physically, the way you look and this report, they don't match completely. And I said, even me, I'm shocked. Then he was like, Christine, 4th stage of cancer. It is late. I said, it has never been late.
Wow.
We can start it from there. So they discussed about it. Dr. Catherine was there also, encouraged me, and they decided, now that this tumor was a bit bulky, what is going to happen, there was 2 teams of doctors who were discussing. Do we either do surgery or we do chemo first to do the debulking? But the majority won because they said, let's go for surgery. So I was like, yes. I think, right now, inside you emotionally, emotions are running high. It's like you're having something dead in you. You want it out. So I told them, I was for it. I want it out like yesterday. Fine. So they all supported me. They were very kind. All these doctors were very kind. And they told me, Christine, we'll give you 100% support. So what exactly do you want? Then I said, I want to run away from you people. So they were like, why? Not that because you people are incompetent. It's just because I like hoping. I'm very curious. I would like to be treated somewhere else. So they all agreed. And Dr. Nyonges asked me, where do you want to go to? I said, I want to go to India. So they said, it's fine, we'll support you. And that's how now I flew to India. I went to India, and of course, I met Dr. Achit there, because now I went there with the notion that this is stage 4 death sentence. In Kenya, I was so worried, actually. I didn't even know whom to talk to, whom to go to, and I could see my nieces. Actually, I'm an introvert person, but my family, they have measured bonga points. They talk, they want to know what is happening. So I could see my nieces, they're SMSing at, oh, auntie, we are worried about you. No, we'll miss you. So, you know, those are things that sometimes worry you and pull you down. So what I did, I just switched off. Anyway, fast forward, I traveled to India. So when I reach Dr. Achit's office and he tells me, Christine, thank you for coming. Of course, we had been exchanging the test, the report and everything. Then he tells me, we are going to repeat all these tests so that we can do another staging, of which actually it took a whole week, and they did the staging. And on a Friday, they prepared me. I was taken to theater. They did a surgery. And after that, of course, the specimen is taken for histology. So after a week, my results came. So he calls back and tells me, Christine, come, I want to give you your results. Of course, having stayed in India for 2 months, because there's a treatment plan, and they were like, we'll do colostomy, we'll do chemo, you know, the standard, American standard of treatment. So that day I go, and Chit tells me, as I enter his office, he tells me, congratulations. So I was like, what? Congratulations because of what? Then he tells me we did an MSI, and it came out negative. So I told him, so what does it mean when you say it came out negative? Maybe the doctor will explain more about it. So I asked him again, what does it mean? Then he says, Christine, what is going to happen? Thank you, God. We're only going to observe you. We are not giving you chemo. There's no colostomy. There's no radiation. We'll just observe you for the next 2 weeks here. Of course, there's a bandage and what for dressing. So I would go there for regular dressings, nothing. And I was discharged from the hospital with a tablet of vitamin C. You know, in Nairobi, I would have carried a sack of drugs. Wow. So Daktari gives me vitamin C, and I am like, are there any other drugs? He said, no, Christine. So that is how I left the hospital.
Wow.
And continued the dressing until I came back to Kenya.
Wow.
And since I came back to Kenya. I've been, of course, doing a 3 months checkup with Daktari. That is very important. Doctor's appointment, you must go. You must watch your diet. Your lifestyle must change. Yes.
Beautiful. The nutritionist is here to tell us diet and all this conversation. Daktari is here Daktaris are here to tell us just how far we are in the country in terms of getting it right. Because if you're going to have issues when it comes to the level of diagnosis, or maybe a bit of confusion, then it gets you wondering, what do we need to do different? And therefore we come to you, Henry, so that we can hear your story briefly, and then we have to cut to chase so that we now get to involve everybody else before time is out. Yes.
Okay, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
So my name is Derek. The first time I was diagnosed with cancer was 2022 in March. It was called Kaposi sarcoma, which I believe is a rare type of cancer. Maybe Dr. will explain more. But my story started a little bit earlier because I became sick 3 years earlier. I noticed that there was a little lump on my left foot, which was harmless for the first 6 months. So with time, it started, getting worse and worse. But because, we have a lot of things to do, and the fact that you can't think of cancer at that moment. So I would run to, a chemist nearby, get a painkiller, and then some would tell me it's maybe fungal, whatever. You give them drugs for 6 months. Then it kept on growing. Then I started going to different hospitals. I went as far as Machakos hospitals until I was referred back to Nairobi. So when I got an opportunity to do the biopsy, it was already too late. And we had to wait for almost around 6 months, because I would go, they'll book me for, an appointment in 2 months' time. Then I'll go again. They tell me you need to, because now the pain was getting really, really serious. And it was draining me, physically. So they'll tell me you need to make sure your diet is okay, make sure you get some blood. So by the time I was actually this is how it happened. So we did the biopsy, and we got the results 2 months later. And I didn't have anyone to read for me that, the 3 kilowatts, you have cancer. I called a friend of mine who is a doctor somewhere out of Nairobi, and I asked him, which one should I look for in that letter? And he told me, if you see the word malignant, just know you have it. And because I'd gone through a lot of pain, so when I saw that word, I felt a bit of relief. Finally, I know what it is. I'm going to get maybe help somewhere. Okay. So, and then I remember it was on Friday. Then on Saturday, we went to now look for where we can get treatment. And someone gave us Daktari's number on a Saturday morning.
Wow.
And we called her, and she told us to rush to Texas Cancer Center. And I remember when we got there, we even didn't go through the reception. We went straight to Dr. Dan Nyongesa was there. We had to pay other, the required amount later once we had been, registered and everything. So we started chemotherapy. That was on a Saturday. We were sent to do the CT scans and other tests. And I began chemotherapy the following week on Tuesday. So we did the first 6 cycles, and it was still getting, it was getting better. And I remember we had a little chat with the lady over there, and because it was on my leg and I could not walk, it was really bad. Actually, it has eaten some part of my toes. And this lady was telling me that as you'll be coming for your treatment, I want you to forget about the wound. Just dress it, make sure it's clean, and just continue with the treatment. But it was bothering me because it wasn't getting better. So after the 6 cycles, we were told to do radiotherapy, which I did 12 fractions. And the wound was still not getting better. So we went for another CT scan, and it revealed that it had gone to the left lung. So we had to start another line of chemotherapy. And we were given a drug called paclitaxel, which went away with my hair. And I was really attached to my hair at that time. So we did another 6 cycles of that paclitaxel. And I was completely bald by that time. And after this line of, now we had done 12 chemotherapies, we went for another test, and it revealed that the lung was now okay. The foot was getting better. I could now walk. Of course, it was still swollen, so I couldn't wear my shoes, but I could walk. And I kept on doing the test, and it revealed that everything was okay. So I took a long break of around 7 to 9 months until I realized that there were some lumps growing on my neck area. If you look carefully, you'll see some marks there. So I called her again, and she said that we need to do another biopsy. So we went, they were cut, they tested it, and the results came that the cancers had recurred. So I had to go in for chemotherapy. That was last year, October. So I started another line of chemotherapy from November up to 31st January of this year. And I'm yet to do my, PET scan to reveal how far it has gone. Okay. But as you can see, I'm okay now. My hair has come back.
The hair's back.
Yes, the beard is also,
the beard. I was thinking of putting some dye on it to just tell people that my hair is back.
Wow.
Just to announce it.
They must
like yellow or pink.
Yeah, something that they can see.
Yes.
Gentlemen, we must tell these people congratulations.
And I'm hopeful that we're going to win this journey.
Absolutely.
Yes.
We're in the business of winning tonight.
You're right.
Yes.
People at home and the people in the studio, can we just join in just clapping and encouraging the people before? You are victors. You're winners. Well done. Keep fighting. And I think at this point I want to bring in our psychologist just a little bit. But before that, our caregiver, Mrs. Gitau. Mrs. Gitau, we are cheering in public, but you have been there in private. Talk to us about the journey that it takes. I mean, Derek has just spoken about his ups and downs, the hope, dashed hope, renewed hope.
Please don't run away.
That entire process. Talk to us about how that journey was for you.
Wow.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
As you have heard, my name is Lillian. I'm a mother, a wife, a sister, a grandmother to many. Oh, yes.
Oh, okay. Beautiful.
And above all, I'm a church leader. I'm an elder in my church, and I thank God for that. I want to say the journey with Timothy has not been easy. From the day one he was diagnosed with cancer, I was there with him. And even before he was diagnosed, I was still there with him because I could tell something is not right from the word go. From the moment he started going to the toilet, and he's taking like longer time in the toilet, and I'm wondering what he's doing in the toilet. And when I go back to ask him, why have you taken so long? He's not answering me. He's just banging the door. I'm like, okay, why is this guy pulling an attitude on me? But he's taking 30 minutes and he's not showering. So little did I know he's having a problem with going to the toilet. Until I had to make sure I go back to the toilet to see what he is doing. And you know, that sounds weird, right? Until I found that when he goes to the toilet, there are some red particles. And it's not tomato, and it's not tissue. So I could ask him, what is happening to you? Until one time I went, he was working, I went to his laptop. I found him Googling what is cancer.
Dr. Google.
Dr. Google, of
Never
course.
gives you good news.
Yes. So I never asked him for the whole of that week until one evening I asked him, I want us to have a cup of tea somewhere so that he can tell me what is it that he's Googling. And I tell him, I found you Googling about cancer. What is it? But at the back of my mind, I knew the history of his family. So I had to make sure I get the right time and the right moment to talk to him so that at least he opens up. And you know, these men are not that easy.
Right.
They are very difficult. So that day I was lucky, and he managed to tell me he's not been able to go to the toilet for quite some time. And immediately I told him, we are going to see the doctor. Then he said, no, let's wait. Let me change my diet. I told him no. And he knows when I put my foot down, it is done.
So hold it there. Hold it there. Hold it on that very note. And of course, we're going to come back to that and get to know just how then you managed and so far up to this level. I do not want us to have Violet running away. Violet, we must hear from you when it comes to caregiving. I mean, you are experiencing this. One would want to argue that it's secondary, but literally it's as good as first-hand experience of this. What would you make of it? The journey, palliative care and all that.
My name is Violet Mutambi. I'm a registered oncology nurse working at Mpisha Hospital. I give treatment to cancer patients and cancers of all kinds. We don't give this and leave that. All kinds of cancers, we treat them at Mpisha Hospital. I've met so many patients during all stages of cancer, and we give them treatment. We help them go through the treatment, manage the side effects. Mostly it's the side effects that weigh them down. Like the gentleman said, he lost his hair, and mostly it's the women who normally get emotional when they lose their hair. So at least women can have wigs or hats or headscarves. For gentlemen, you can just say it's sorry, you can just say bald.
We just have BNA Baraza.
I know, right?
Tell us.
And it's a crime to call someone bald, by the way.
Is it?
Yes. That is another story.
And for the ladies, at least the ladies, they're not so emotional about, they understand more about the side effects, and they go through them easily than the men. Men are mostly moody because they believe they have to be the strong ones in the family. So if the cancer weighs them down, they look like they're weaklings. And most African men don't like being seen as weaklings. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Yeah, she's saying too much truth.
And we'll be coming back to some more truth. But now forward, and I think you have heard, that acknowledgement that there has to be a connection on diet and how you switch to all this, and therefore you have to drag your family along and tell them from white bread to brown bread and all this conversation. Talk about nutrition when it comes to this, and now bringing us to the level of surviving cancer.
Yeah.
Okay. My name is Philip Lundu. I'm a clinical nutritionist. I work at Mpisha Hospital. Everybody's talking about their spouses. I'm married.
For the record.
For the record. And I'm married to a nutritionist.
Oh, wow.
So I practice
That's a very
nutrition at home and away. She's called Catherine. So first, I want to dive in on the matter of the research which was done in Tenwek. I was born and raised in Kericho. I started my employment in Kericho at an hospital called AIC Liten Hospital. And during that particular year, between 2011 to 2016, I did come across several incidents of cancer. The most common was esophagus cancer. Before I left, I started asking questions. Why are we having only specific cancer of the esophagus? So there were several theories. It was, they have large tracts of tea plantation. So some could say that it's the pesticide they are using to spray. Some could say that it's the mursik. I drink mursik, by the way. And there are several confounding factors. Apart from mursik, which was done by the doctor from Tenwek, there are other genetic factors which could influence. We could be walking around, but we are carrying a gene factor which the environment can trigger the expression. So we don't say that if you drink mursik, you will directly have cancer.
Correct.
Okay? So there are other factors which we have talked about, the environment, which can determine the onset. So the expression of that gene factor can be caused by certain things in the environment if you have it. Recently, I lost one of my close family member from the same condition. And there are so many questions people usually ask. Is there a single food that I can eat to prevent cancer? I'm sorry to say there's no single food. It's about eating healthy, balanced diet. Nowadays, even we don't talk about balanced diet. No pizza is balanced. There's a starch in pizza, there's a protein in pizza, there's a vegetable in pizza, there's a fat in pizza. That is balance. Now, when you talk about healthy, balanced diet, it should be in relation to your nutritional status. Are you overweight? Are you underweight? And then we talk about your health status. You could be having cancer with diabetes, cancer with high blood pressure. We look at the age factor. There are certain nutrients that when you are young, you need more. When you are elderly, you need specific nutrients. We talk also again about gender. For men, they need more for women, they need more of iron than men. So when you talk about healthy food choices, it's about doing a complete nutrition assessment. And there's no specific food that we can say that if you eat this one, will prevent cancer or will treat cancer. You have to eat what we call healthy, nutrients-dense food. And she talked about having brown food and white food. The majority of the brown food, like the brown bread that we have, most of the time, it is food color. The genuine brown bread or the healthy bread or what we call the wholemeal bread, it's either multi-seed bread or multi-grain bread, or it is written 8-grain or 8-seed bread. That is a whole grain bread. It's not about the color of food per se, it's about the quantity or the grams of carbohydrate in that particular slice of bread. That's why we can say this is a healthy bread. Now, when we come to cancer patients, during the chemotherapy and the radiotherapy, they do have quite a number of food intake challenge. Most of them, they do lose a lot of weight. They have challenges of nausea, they have challenges of vomiting, they have challenges of constipation. So the way I will treat patient A who has got cancer in terms of diet is not the same the way I will treat the patient B who has got cancer. They could be having the same type of cancer. They could be having prostate cancer, two of them. But their nutrients, their nutrition requirement is totally different. It is tailored according to this patient nutritional status, the food and preference, the culture factor. And there are certain food that we say carcinogenic food. They can easily trigger the onset of cancer or cause the cancer to spread very fast. And this include sugary food, highly sugary food, because they increase inflammation. So the more you take sugary food, like the soda, which is 100% carbohydrate, it doesn't have fats, it doesn't have vitamins, and we should say that don't drink your calories. Ensure that you eat your calories. When you drink it a lot of calorie, and it increases in inflammation. So the more inflammation you have, the more your immunity goes down. And the cancer patients, their immunity goes down because of the cancer itself, and also the medication they are getting it. So you are attacking your immune system from different angles, from the cancer diagnosis, from the treatment that you are getting, and even from the diet. When you eat junk food, food that has got 100% carbohydrates, 100% sugar, and you tend to find that people say, okay, fine, don't take tea without sugar. You preferably use honey. The best honey in this country comes from a place called Marigat. And 1 tablespoon of honey, when the body digests and breaks it down, is equivalent to 5 teaspoons of sugar. So whether that honey is original, whether that honey is pure, whether that honey is from Kitui or from Marigat, after digestion, it becomes sugar. You tend to find people, when they have cancer, they run away from the table sugar and they go and eat 5 loaves of bread. Because 1 slice of bread is equivalent to around 2.4 teaspoons of sugar. Okay? So what matters is, what is your weight? What is your diagnosis? What is your health status? What is the lab value? We do what we call the clinical nutrition. We look at the biochemistry. We look at your HB level. Most of the cancer patients, their HB tends to go down. Most of the cancer patients, their platelets go down. And I've received so many questions. Is there any single food that I can eat so that I can improve my white blood cells, or I can improve my platelets? There's no single food again. So we look at the anti-inflammatory food and the antioxidant food. The anti-inflammatory food, there are things like omega-3, which you can get from the natural food. And most of the people, they think that when you have cancer, now you need to have supplement. This you have to discuss with your doctor, because we have what we call interaction. The interaction between the supplement and the medication that you are getting. It can reduce the efficacy of the main treatment that you are getting. So before you buy any supplement, before you go to any herbal medication, ensure you have discussed that with your primary physician. Say, I feel that I need this supplement, or I have been advised, take this supplement. The best nutrients that we get it from diet. Healthy food choices.
Brilliant. He has literally packaged, all that into one wonderful package.
It comes from a nutritious home.
Absolutely. Yeah. And indeed, on that note, as our viewers digest all that, as they take note and they look at their plates, for those who have not eaten and those who have already eaten, they have to interrogate what they have already taken down. Let's digest that, all of us, and then we come back after this short commercial break. We can see your questions and your feedback coming. Please keep sending it our way, and we shall be able to flaunt and send your questions to our guests tonight. You're watching The People's Court. You're back in a short while.
Kila kiongozi ana hadithi yake ya kipekee.
Wazazi wangu walikuwa bit strict kwa sababu mamangu mwenyewe, mimi kutoka kuzaliwa sijailala nje.
The white small one, huyo ana sniff gunpowder na risasi na bomb. Alafu huyo mwingine ni ridgeback, ana sniff simba.
Even the employees knows that. So when in the boardroom is the chairman, the CEO, and the rest of.
At what point are you a wife?
The minute you get to that, inside that door, you become now the wife.
Na kila maamuzi wanayoyafanya hufichua mengi kuhusu utu wao na uongozi wao.
We see God blessing us, and we now realize the power of giving also has to be rewarded back.
Kupitia kipindi Mfahamu Kiongozi, tunakuletea mahojiano ya kusisimua na uchambuzi wa kina kuhusu viongozi wetu.
Pick your core business as the bigger stones. Put them in your diary first. Give priority the bigger things.
Usikose kila Alhamis saa 1:30 jioni.
Welcome back. You're watching The People's Court. We thank you for staying with us. We can see your feedback, questions coming in. Please start with your name if you can and tell us where you're watching us from. I can see Naitwa Tolib kutoka Kakuyuni Malindi. Show iko poa. Thank you so much for watching. Now, 2 questions. Actually, one has just come in to Dr. Catherine Nyongesa. There is, and we want to look at perhaps, whereas, of course, we cannot verbally diagnose. Of course, one has to go in and have several tests done. But a question coming here is, can a heartburn be a sign of cancer? 1. And 2, is it true that when you use microwave, you get cancer?
That is, they have asked for me.
They have asked for you. Yeah, it's that question. Over to you, Dr. If you know, some of this, small or, minute, as, the wonderful couple has said, she observed, one thing, and, perhaps what are some of the things that one can say, okay, fine, this will lead me into investigating more and to finding out.
Yeah. So I thank you so much. Now, the question about heartburn.
Oh, yes.
Whether it's a sign of cancer. Okay, it is possible, but not always. We see people with the stomach cancer coming with what we call dyspepsia or heartburn. So it is good that you get a doctor to check. Generally, a heartburn will go away by drinking milk. I mean, many of us get heartburns in one way or another. It doesn't mean you have cancer. So take simple things like milk, antacids. If it doesn't go away, go to see a specialist. Sometimes they may need to do an endoscopy to check that your stomach is okay.
What kind of specialist, just to be specific?
We do have even a physician, a surgeon. There are those who even do endoscopy. An endoscopy is to put a scope through your stomach to check through the food pipe. So they check all the way from the gullet to the stomach to ensure it is okay. The ones with colon cancer, they said I also did an endoscopy. So you can do an endoscopy from the bottom part, from the rectal area, anus, going all the way to the large intestines just to check. But for dyspepsia or acidity, we check from the top part.
Okay.
Yeah. And cancer, it's not a death sentence. There's always hope, and people should not be scared to seek treatment. And on the other hand, I think there was a question raised about molecular testing. He went through special testing to ensure that the cancer treatment is individualized. So every patient, we don't treat them the same. Yeah, every patient has a special care, special medicine for them, and it's all evidence-based, based on research, but we tailor the treatment to an individual. And then there was also a question about nutrition. Patients sometimes are told, don't eat this, don't eat this, don't eat this. When you are going through treatment, just be open. Take small, frequent feeds, something you enjoy eating, because that is the time you need a lot of energy to go through this treatment and pull through the chemotherapy with all its side effects, the radiation with all its side effects. Yeah.
Another question, Daktari, before I let you go, the questions are coming as you speak. Naulizaje, I have a breast ache for 3 weeks now. What may be the cause and what am I supposed to do?
Yeah, so it depends on your age and your parity, but most women will have a breast ache somehow. But if it is persistent over 2 weeks, maybe you feel a lump. When you press the nipple, you'll see some watery discharge or blood discharge. Sometimes the nipple can pull backwards. It's a red flag or a warning sign. But a lot of young women have what you call fibroadenomas. These are just non-cancerous growths in the breast, and they go away. But at the end of the day, you will need to see a specialist, probably a surgeon, to have a thorough examination to ensure that this is benign and not malignant. And for cancer to be diagnosed, it is a medical diagnosis. So we always need a tissue to go to the laboratory and test and confirm. Yeah.
Absolutely. I could say the nutrition...
Yes, I would like to echo what Doctor has said, that when it comes to nutrition, there's a lot of don'ts. Don't eat this. I met a patient who was told, don't eat anything acidic. So this patient was literally avoiding everything. And the status of this patient was worse, even not because of the diagnosis, because this patient was starving herself, because she was not eating rice. She was told rice is bad. Somebody else said that you should not eat meat. Meat is bad. Somebody else told her you should not eat fish. So fish has got mercury. Mercury is causing cancer to spread very fast. So she was avoiding a lot of things. When it comes to cancer treatment, it reached a point, even after chemotherapy, you literally feel like not eating anything. And probably, I was talking to Timothy saying that during his treatment, for him, he was only surviving with pili pili and apple. And it was only okay for him. There are patients now, after treatment, they don't want to stir any food before them. Maybe it's only chips, which we say it's junk food, don't eat. And probably that only 2 to 3 pieces can give that patient an energy for the next day. So there's no specific standard food for cancer patient. We cannot say that this is cancer diet, like we are doing for hypertensive diet, we are doing for diabetes diet. And she also mentioned something about the heartburn. Heartburn could be probably you're eating very fast, you're eating spicy food, you're eating too close to bedtime, you're eating in a rush, and could be H. pylori test. It could not be cancer that is causing the heartburn. There are other several factors that is causing heartburn. And she said the best way to do is to go to the hospital for medical diagnosis.
Yeah, and then maybe just to chime in about the microwave.
Yes. It's been persistent here.
You know?
And Doreen Anyango sends her regards watching from Kakamega. I like using microwave and say hi to Dr. Kathy, so you can as well.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Nimepata hizo salamu. All right, so a microwave does not cause cancer, but obviously all these technologies, as much as we are using, you have to use to moderation. Microwaves are part of the electromagnetic spectrum, and this is the non-ionizing type, so it doesn't cause cancer. We have the ionizing radiation. That one, the X-rays and gamma rays, those may cause cancer. So as it is up to now, we don't have really much evidence to say that people don't use microwaves because they'll get cancer. There is no obvious evidence there, so it is safe.
Yeah, you can see she's also gotten some form of
However, it might be a totally different conversation. The containers that are put inside the microwaves,
yes, the plastics
and so on, might be a whole other conversation there. But I want to bring some of you onto something. Violet, you said some truths, some heavy truths. Men are stubborn, and so on and so on. Talk to us a little bit about your experience in providing support. You provide medical support as a registered oncology nurse. But talk to us about the other bits, the psychological support, and I want you to chime in as well. And Christine, you did mention, you mentioned you had a lot of support from Mrs. Gitau. Good elder Mrs. Gitau. And of course Derek was talking about, Derek, you never mentioned whether you had any support. You seemed like one-man soldier. So tell us about that. Oh, wonderful. You should mention those support. All right, so I want us to talk about support. I want us to talk about the mental support, psychological support that helps the fight get easier, perhaps. So let's start with you, and then we go around.
Yeah, the support we give to our patients is holistic, which I mean holistic. I mean by we incorporate all cadres, like the nutritionists will be incorporated, the doctors are incorporated, physicians, lab people, the psychologists. So when you find a patient needs such care like psychologist care, then we'll refer them to the psychologists, at least to talk to them. Because we can't do everything on our own. When we realize a patient needs nutritional care, we'll incorporate the nutritionist to talk to the patient about their nutrition. And in most cases, the patients come to us with the questions. Now we answer the questions as they come with them.
Just a quick one before you move. I can see you want to pass the mic. Just how critical is psychological support in the overall wellness or the
psychological support is very critical, because even the relatives of the patients are supposed to be incorporated in the care of the patient.
So they shouldn't text like Christine, they say, "We shall miss you." They shouldn't say things like that.
They shouldn't text her, because she'll start thinking maybe they're already seeing me dead.
Right.
Yeah. So they at least should talk to the patient and give hope to the patient.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you so much, Victor and the team. My name is Adha Gishuru. I'm a clinical psychologist. Before even I touch on the important aspect of support and the mental support for the cancer patient, it's good to know that even for the general public, it's actually 1 to 4 people who are struggling with a mental illness. I can see we are more than 4 here. So, so that means that we also told that those who are actually are reacting to, or they are in these well termed as lifelong diseases or threatening diseases, are 3 times more likely to have what we call common mental health disorders, and that include what we call depression and anxiety. If you heard their stories, number 1, like Gitao had to, he didn't talk about his issue, but then again, he was all, in the Google, Dr. Google trying to get to know what it is. Derek did talk about, him having, that biopsy result, but he doesn't know what it is. Then a doctor that tells him that, you just look for a word, malignant. If you see malignant, that is it. So support in patients who are actually being treated for cancer is very, very important. And it starts from the word go, the way we break this particular news. For her, remind me the name kindly. Christine. For Christine, you heard what happened. She had the results. The results were broken via WhatsApp. You get. Okay, for her, the resilience might be, it's actually very, very high and very positive. But then again, the way we pass this information is very, very critical. It actually forms the basis of, is this patient going to be positive or not? And therefore, we react to stress in different ways. According to Richard Lazaar's model of stress, management, they said, if you react to something and, you feel like, it's a threat, I don't have the required or the necessary resources to undergo through this procedure. Again, I start now going into that downward spiral. I find myself having depression. Now, that's where now support comes in. Again, you have been diagnosed with something that, you didn't even expect. Outside there, people are talking all manner of things. You have seen stories, you have seen and heard stories. People have died out of it. So you're wondering, will I also die? And therefore your brain picks something called irrational thoughts. And irrational thoughts that must be cleared by the medical team. They must come in and feel the facts there, such that this particular person does not wander all over. Again, the number of times you end up seeking for the second, the third, and even the fourth, second opinion matters a lot, because Daktari will tell you that, again, time factor is another thing when it comes to cancer management. You don't want to take forever, seeking for opinions. And again, we want to manage this condition. So we're trying to prevent or to make sure that this particular person doesn't suffer from anxiety. We minimize anxiety, and we make sure that we are supporting them to make sure that they don't get depressed. And again, for the caregivers, it gets to a point whereby, yes, I love you, you're my husband, but there is something called compassionate trauma. I have done so much, our finances are being drained. We are taking care of you. Every other time, there are procedures and what have you. I get tired as a caregiver. And therefore, there must be also support for the caregivers who are going through this process, to make sure that they are not also offering too much and find themselves offering nothing because their cup is empty. And therefore, psychological and mental support for all people, and especially those who are going through cancer, is very, very key and very, very important.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant. Mrs. Gitao, what were your tried and tested methods of cheering this gentleman up, this warrior
and
up?
of taking care of herself as well, because she needed to be
As I said earlier, it was not an easy journey. But the moment, as Daktari has said, even the way the news are broken to you is very key, because from the very word go, I was with him to the doctor. And I wanted to know exactly what is happening to him from the word go. In fact, I can write his story like a doctor would do, because there is no one day that he has ever gone to hospital without me. That is one. Because he will not be able sometimes to open up to the doctor, and I will come out and ask the doctor, what is happening? I'm able to see A, B, C, D. And then
allow me to interject. What would you say to those who would have, spouses? You can see there is a problem, or they have issues articulating themselves, and they genuinely do not want help. Say, what if he had restricted you from accompanying him to the doctor? How do you go about it?
Of course, you have to sit him down first and let him understand that you are doing this out of love. You are a family. You have children. They are all looking up to you, the two of you. So if he says he does not want to go to the hospital and he gets ill, what happens to his family? Sometimes you have to talk as it is. Yes, there is a problem. Yes, you're sick. You might be having this condition. What would happen if you do not go and see the doctor? And you reason together. Encourage him to go to the hospital. Walk with, don't just tell him, enda. Uniambia, they will not go. They will go and park and then come in the evening and tell you.
He wants to respond. He's probably not in agreement, or maybe.
Did you feel at some point that perhaps should be too intrusive?
Or they tied you with ropes and force you to go to hospital?
No. I think the key is how you approach it. If you're too forceful, you have to be tact, I would say. Because as she said, she had to talk to me in a calm manner. Because if you're too abrasive and too forceful, then the African man in me like, I can take myself to hospital. But if you're tact enough and sure you're coming from a point of love, where you want just to accompany and offer support, then more likely than not, somebody will accept. So even the way you approach it matters a lot. So that the person who is going there can feel this is support I'm getting. I'm not being policed. I'm not being Yeah, so I think I would say that the way you approach it matters a lot. That will give somebody the comfort to know that this person is there with me to support me.
Right.
Yeah.
Christine, you seem so thoughtful. Talk to us, the highly loaded finance man, was he supportive? You called him from the village.
Christine, while I was doing my makeup, from the village, and while we're doing the makeup, Christine marched in with Roberta. And I could notice that Roberta kept on asking, are you okay? Are you okay? How do you get them to know that it's all good? You know what Christine said? Christine said, I'm not okay. And for a moment I thought, ouch. Now, how is Roberta supposed to feel about this? I mean, being honest with them that it's okay. At this point, I am fine. At this point, I am not. Can we respect this? Can you come in? I need some love. I need a hug and all that kind of thing.
Yes. Now, let me remind you again. I said from the family I come from, they're too big mouth. They're loud. So, even today I came with my husband. Roberta is there. And I have 5 siblings who don't give me rest. They've walked with me this journey. I have an elder sister who's a social worker, and she's always on the phone. Have you gone to see a psychologist? Are you doing this? I'm coming to your house. And sometimes I find them too intrusive because they're too much. My husband, where he's seated there, he does not give me peace. He has to check the clinic card. He has to remind me what time we are going to see the doctor, what I have eaten. So the whole family actually has worked with me here. And it is very good when they give you support, because there are some times when you sit alone and you start worrying. So I want to thank them very much. Please let family support you fully, 100%.
Right.
Yes, I've not walked alone in this journey.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Clearly a Liverpool supporter. Derek, what about you? Talk to us about your experience of support on your journey, particularly in the ups and downs that you were explaining.
Okay, so something that I didn't mention is that I'm not married. I'm a single Kenyan.
Not searching? I mean,
it is what it is. But now,
he's auditioning members.
So when I became sick, because it affected this part of my body, so I had to, look for somewhere to. I couldn't do a lot of things myself, so that's when my primary caregiver came in. So he's been in my life. He's been a friend from. In fact, I was born and I found him. So he's been a friend from day one. So he took me in. I went to his house. I've been there since that time up to
Beautiful.
now.
Clap for that.
There you go.
So he would provide everything. My financial support has come from my friend.
Wow.
And he's the one who organizes everything. We make sure that I get the right diet.
Wow.
I'm a writer, so I do a lot of research. So I also fell a victim of, researching on the kind of food I need to eat.
Wow, Dr. Google.
Brown bread, things like that. So he's provided all that. He's given me the moral support I need, and making sure that my mind are in place. And at some point I was really feeling bad for them, because especially at the moment when I was through the treatment, but there were no, noticeable changes.
Right.
So in my mind I was like, this guy has sacrificed so much and I might not get better. So that was really, I didn't have a way of telling them that, I might not be able to pay you for the work you're doing. But they kept on encouraging me, pulling the few resources they have. And we are here, and I am so grateful to them.
Wow. First of all, let's just say another big thanks to all of you. Just a quick one. Gentlemen and ladies, there's a question of finances. All of you are here, healthy and fighting and strong. Could any of you give us a glimpse into how do you organize your finances for this? How do you make sure that this is working? Talk to us about insurance. Talk to us about the fundraisers and so on. Talk to us about the cost of this. Maybe Daktari, tell us what's a cost situation looking like?
So the cost of cancer care is varied depending on the diagnosis of the cancer, the stage, and the treatment protocol the doctor will put you on. I mean, if it's early stage, a simple operation and you are done. Like Christine, it turned out all she needed was surgery, for example. But in case she needed chemotherapy, radiotherapy, then the cost goes higher. So we encourage patients to have an insurance. Even a simple NHIF can really reduce the financial toxicity to the family. Otherwise, out-of-pocket spending, it is not sustainable.
Right.
Yes.
Daktari, mimi ni Boniface. Swali, ninaumwa na mgongo sana, kusimama sana na shida. Nikikunywa maziwa nahisi kama kiuno imejaa uzito. Shida ni nini? So he's asking, nauliza kansa hupimwa na nini?
So cancer inaweza pimwa kwa damu, kwa tissue. So it is good that he goes to the doctor to have a thorough examination.
Absolutely.
Because even those symptoms he's feeling are not necessarily cancer.
Cancer.
Yeah.
All right.
Brilliant.
Gitawa, I feel like you wanted to add something on the finance situation.
Yes, I wanted to talk about the finances.
Please.
Because it's quite expensive, very expensive. For me, I've gone through the whole shebang. I've done surgery, I've done chemo, I've done radiotherapy, surgery twice, more than twice for most of them. And it's very expensive. And I've been lucky because I've had an employer who is very supportive.
Would you disclose the figures when you say expensive?
It's impossible for me to say because if you look at sessions for chemotherapy, you're going for sessions for chemotherapy by itself. It's quite expensive. Radiotherapy, to see an oncologist by itself, appointment is 5,000 plus. To see an oncologist. So imagine you have to see an oncologist, you have to do chemo, you have to, after you do all that, you do tests, lab tests, more expenses. So it's very expensive. And we are often forced to call for harambes. So if you don't have friends and family who are willing to help you out, you are doomed. Yeah. So it's something that we are hopeful, like with the new social health insurance thing, that is going to help. They have said they will help. We are yet to see because there are very many people who succumb to cancer because they couldn't afford the treatment. So it's quite an expensive venture. And I think it's about time that people thought about seriously about offsetting some of those costs so that the survival rate can go high.
Right.
Thank you. As we sum it up, yes.
For me, I was also lucky because I had an employer who took care of it, and I was using an insurance. They should join SHIF now that we are transiting from NHIF to SHIF, because if you don't have any insurance, you cannot manage cancer. It is very costly. As much as I told you this, the doctors, I kept on hoping as an outpatient, which is not covered by the insurance. You have to pay cash. So these doctors, you pay from between the consultation fees from 5,000 to 15, between 5 and 15. So you need really your pockets to be full. You have to be financially stable for you to manage. But cancer is very costly. We need help.
But on a light note and on a hopeful note, the fact that you people are here. You're fighting. Some of you have fought and won. Some of you are still in the battlefield. Plus the people right behind you are giving you support. People like Violet, people like Mrs. Gitau, people are good nutritionists giving excellent advice. A good psychologist, of course, giving the necessary awareness of what we need to look at. And of course, Dr. Catherine and your team, thank you all of you for coming. Thank you so much for fighting this war. And I hope the people at home, you know that yes, cancer is real, but hey, victory is real. It's possible. They've done it, you can do it too.
Absolutely, and we want to thank you for watching The People's Court tonight. And in the words of Kezia K, she says, kudos to all our survivors, doctors and caregivers watching from Kileleshwa. Salamus to our heroes and heroines. And that is why we want to wind up the show tonight. We keep the conversation ongoing, and of course it doesn't end here. We keep, as always, on The People's Court, bringing you conversations, impactful conversations such as this. My name is George Maringa, wishing you a good night from Nairobi.
Well, if you're not going to contribute to that, wedding, WhatsApp invite, or that, baby shower, please, if they're going to send that link for you to contribute to a person who has been diagnosed with cancer, please, why don't you contribute? Because as you can evidently see, it's not an easy journey. You just do not know at what point it will walk home. My name is Linda Lela. Do have yourself a beautiful night ahead.
Victor Muyakane, good night. God bless you.
God bless you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.